Good morning, Don. Thank you again for all of your support, and thank you for the softball question this morning that I said I would have written for you if you didn't beat me to the punch. Someday I will have a higher value production of telling the background story behind Good Advisors Finish First, Good People Finish First, but for now, hopefully this will do. You had asked how I see our core values impacting advisory roles going forward. How many hours do you have? I have a lot behind all this, so I'll try to summarize as succinctly as possible. A few years ago, I was having a conversation with my mom, and I was getting into politics, and she challenged me. She's like, well, then do something about it, because all I was doing was talking, and that just kind of set things in motion. We're like, okay, I've talked my entire life. I'm going to actually do something about it. Flash forward, I gave a presentation out at the LPL Focus Conference a few years ago, and I started that presentation with the same intro that I did with a lot of presentations at the time. I asked all the advisors in the audience to pull out their iPhones or their cell phones, Google Financial Advisors are, and the things that would come up at the time were crooks, a joke, bad, too expensive, just all these negative things. I did that to kind of get a rise out of the audience, have a little fun, get some attention going into the presentation. But from a practical perspective, it was just to say, this is how John Q. Public views our industry. Let's not ignore that. Let's focus on what's most important. Later in the day, after that conference, I got lit up at a happy hour. This advisor is pushing me into the corner. You don't need to be so negative. You don't need to be sharing this. Everybody already knows it. And that conversation sat with me for a good couple of weeks. And I started to question a lot of what I was doing. Should I not be bringing these things up and talking about it? And then one day I just finally snapped and said, why the hell as an industry do we just accept that we are always going to be apologizing for the bad? I've worked with way too many good advisors over my career. We need to start leaning forward, going on offense and focusing on the good. At that time was when Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. And it got me thinking, if you're a piece of shit your entire life, at some point, it's probably going to catch up with you. And it's not something that we need to do. Mercy over justice. I think a higher power will take care of things for us. Anyway, I was just thinking that what is the opposite of that? And there's one advisor I talk about all the time who really, I think, symbolizes the exact opposite of what the public may view as some of these negatives in our industry, and is representative of those core values: humility, abundance, reciprocity, pass the torch. So I said I was going to make this succinct, but the idea is, in the long run, you will find greater success if you simply operate in the best interest of the client, going beyond a fiduciary standard, putting yourself in the shoes of the clients, trying to view things through their eyes, and giving advice based on what you would do standing in their shoes. I believe it's inevitable that that's the only way advisors, and again, we call this good people finish first, anyone is going to be successful in the long run. Now, long run is hundreds of years from now, but as we're getting there, a big part of this is just emphasizing, again, the good, showing that mentality, that process will lead to greater success. However you define it. It could be monetary, it could be lifestyle, it could be whatever. Greater success if you simply do that from the word go. Again, I could go on and on a lot longer than I intended today, but that's a little bit of the background. Thanks, Don.